What happened to this website? Do you see this pop-up? This advertisement. It's not a pop, it's just an ad. The ad is bigger. The ad letterboxes the letterboxed page. Are you kidding me right now? This is what's become of what the hell, dude? That's insane. I can see some people just completely. Dude, is every ad on here like this now? It's unusable. It's unusable. I don't want to sound too cynical or bitter, but I hate cinephile culture. I hate most people who love movies. I'm sorry. I just do. Film couldn't die any sooner. Since the last live stream, I'm pretty happy that because the last live stream was called Why I Do What I Do. And was kind of venting and trying to kind of express my own philosophy behind covering coming of age and teen art, like teen oriented art on the channel, teen films, teen shows. I was venting and trying to express exactly why I did that, and the response to it has been really awesome. I really think I found a small community of people who kind of understand what I'm doing, so that's like the coolest thing in the world for me. Like the handful of viewers that I do have, I think are the best viewers in the world. So that's really cool. Requiem for a Dream, I have a couple issues with. I definitely have a history of drug abuse. Requiem for a Dream to me feels like just a very well shot and composed after school special, like anti-drug PSA. It doesn't really seem to be saying anything truthful to me. And also, I think that it's a terrible, like, it does its job terribly of showing me the horrors of fucking drug use when you have Jared Leto and Jennifer Connelly as your main junkies, two of the most attractive people on the face of the earth. Like, whoa, yeah, I really don't want to do heroin now. I might end up looking beautiful for all of eternity. And in my opinion, Kerry Russell is she gives me silent film star vibes. Like, she's Lillian Gish coded. Die Hard 3 is fucking radical. You said you're not a fan of sentimentality in movies like Shawshank Redemption or Green Mile in previous videos. Is there a reason? Yeah, it doesn't get complicated. It just gets difficult to articulate. Well, because all sentimentality is excessive by definition. All of it. Like, I think people forget that the definition of like sentimental and sentimentality are two separate things, right? So the definition of sentimentality is excessive tenderness, sadness, or nostalgia, which I'm okay with in certain coming of age products and teen media, things like that. Where I don't like it is in films like Shawshank Redemption, in films like Green Mile, and certainly films like Saving Private Ryan, when we're using like these very serious topics that shouldn't be bathed with nostalgia or excessive tenderness. And I think that you are sanitizing it. Like, to me, the Green Mile sanitizes like racism and prison life. I think that Saving Private Ryan sanitizes the Second World War by making it like some sort of fever dream of your grandfather's like glory story. Shawshank Redemption does similar things. I think that sentimentality should only be applied to young people, because I think sentimentality is something you should grow out of, possibly. Because sentimentality by definition is excessive. It's hard to be a fan of something that's excessive within a film. That's why I don't really mind like sentimental, whatever, but sentimentality by definition is overwhelming. You can say that about most war movies with the sentimentality. Most of them, yeah. And that's when you get this, like some of them that are powerful. Come and See is a big one people talk about. I think The Thin Red Line is the best war movie ever made. And there's not sentimentality within that. There's a conversation about spirituality within that, and it's done incredibly well. There's a lot of other things within that, but it's not sentimental. It's not like these boys will be proud of this. It's not about that. It's difficult But I think if you're going to make a movie about a difficult subject, right, you should approach it in a mature way. Because if you approach it like Spielberg, then you get the problem of, well, very simplistic solutions to overwhelming problems. That's what happens with sentimentality when you're approaching it like that. Um, and to be honest, most teen shows and teen dramas like don't have that much sentimentality to them. They really don't. Not really. Uh, Not unless it's like clearly autobiographical, but even then they'll deconstruct sentimentality and nostalgia into something a little bit more real or unreal. Um, War movies and the more traditional filmmakers fall into sentimentality an awful lot. You brought up Terrence Malick earlier. Any thoughts on him? He's like the one of the only like Christian spiritual filmmakers that I think is brilliant. That I think talks about Christianity in a way that is like beautifully done. To me, he's the opposite of Tarkovsky, the opposite of Scorsese at this point. I think that Malick actually makes films that you can truly feel the spirituality of, and he has interesting like filmic discussions about God in ways that truly feel special. Um, my 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 thoughts on Terrence Malick though is that his the first films are his best films, and like I never rewatch any of the ones after. Like I don't rewatch Tree of Life, I don't rewatch To the Wonder. The only ones I go back to again and again and again and again are Badlands, Days of Heaven, and The Thin Red Line. I think those are beyond perfect. I think they're extraordinarily well done. He's a fascinating director. What he like left. He made Days of Heaven, disappeared for 20 fucking years, and comes back with The Thin Red Line. How to like teach what Hegel in college, in universities? Like he's fascinating. He's a fascinating artist. I love Terrence Malick. I at least love his first three films a lot. Tree of Life's okay. I think it's like overrated. I think his like later works like still interesting, but it's like he's probably the best like outwardly like Christian artist that we have. And I call him a Christian artist because all of his films are overtly about God, about Jesus. I like Terrence Malick. I think it's really difficult to make relevant films about God in the ultra modern world because like we're beyond postmodernism, we're in ultra modernism, and to make films about God when like Nietzsche killed God, that's hard to do, and Terrence Malick figures out how to do it in a way that feels genuine and intelligent and passionate and important. Makes that conversation relevant. This no one else can do what he does. I used to be a big fan of Tarkovsky, for the record, but I don't like him at all anymore. I don't relate to his spiritual exercises. Um, Scorsese, I liked Silence, and I wish Silence was his last movie, and he just fucking retired. I don't think people should be expected to work until they died. I wish that Martin Scorsese just retired after Silence. It'd be great. It'd be a great place to stop. And what's the anecdote, right? Malick saw Silence and sent Scorsese a letter asking him, Marty, what does God want from us? And Martin had absolutely no idea how to answer him. But like that's how Malick thinks all the time. Oh, yeah, that's sexy. Oh shit, we can do that. We can do that. I mean, I don't even think it's worth like evaluating at all. I don't like Fight Club. Forrest Gump is a miserable, terrible movie. And people still think that Forrest Gump is like a classic, and I've never really understood that at all. Like even for its time, I don't understand why people thought Forrest Gump was so good. I hate Gettysburg. This is not like a real thing. Whoever made this is not a serious person. They shouldn't be treated as such. No, I'm not a fan of Narcos or Breaking Bad. I thought Breaking Bad was really poorly done, actually. Narcos I never finished. I never finished Breaking Bad either, but I thought Breaking Bad was like really overrated. I like The Sopranos, and that's one thing. And The Wire is okay too, but like those shows to me fail. like fail in the function of what I like within television. Like those shows to me pop up on a bunch of cinephiles lists of favorite shows because I think they're more like film than television, and I don't like it when like TV tries to be more like film. Not since the 90s, not since like we figured out that TV is actually cooler than movies. You know, those are movies that cinephiles like because they're or shows that cinephiles like because they're more like movies than shows. Whereas I like shows that are more like shows than than movies for sure. Like Buffy or Dawson's Creek or Gossip Girl. I like those long 22 episode long seasons where the writers get to really explore every theme and be goofy, be serious, be wild, be cool. Whereas Breaking Bad and Sopranos, they just feel like 12-hour long fucking movies, and they have the same structure as a fucking movie, not as a show. Back to the Future, I've not seen. It's like Back to the Future is like the only big movie that I've never seen. Um, it's like my blind spot, and I really don't care enough to correct that. What are your thoughts on biopics, whatever, however you say them? Which do you think are the prime examples of the genre? I don't have a thought on biopics like overall. I think that like it's interesting when you make a film about a true event because film can't capture truth like in essence, right? Like every film can be a documentary of its own making, but that's about as truthful as films get. Everything changes when it's filmed. It's called like dramaturgy or something. Everything and everyone changes when filmed. So like when you're making a biopic, it's almost like the more truthful it is to the actual person's life, then the less cinematic it is. Like if you're really trying to make a film about real life, then you're failing out the gate. So like I don't know. I think biopics are fine. I don't think that they should be very accurate. Like Oliver Stone's The Doors is pretty dope. Pretty dope movie about Jim Morrison that's entirely insane. Uh, Prime examples of the genre for biopics, like these are hard to remember. Someone would say Andrei Rublev, right? I wouldn't, but that's an interesting example of a biopic. Um, I'm more into like autobiographical films then. Like if you're gonna recreate like your own autobiography, um, cinematically, like Truffaut would understand that with the 400 blows better than anyone else. But I liked Chaplin. I liked the Robert Downey Jr. movie. Like I don't really have too many thoughts on biopics. I, I I think it's dangerous when a film presents itself as trustworthy, like historically. So like uh, yeah, and I think that most biopics do. A lot of people will watch a movie about a subject and not even look into it, right? That makes sense. I saw a doc on Billie Holiday where her peers say that her being made to be the victim is inaccurate to her story because even though she was victimized, she was a strong woman. Exactly. But the victimization of certain powerful women make for stronger cinema. Like it's fucking it's tough when directors make films that they claim to be factual because no film is factual. It can't be. It can't be. You did a video a while back reading a Roger Ebert review. Try that again, but with Pauline Kael. Pauline Kael's smarter than me. Bonnie and Clyde is the most excitingly American movie since The Manchurian Candidate. The audience is alive to it. Our experience as we watch it has some connection with the way we reacted to movies in childhood, with how we came to love them and to feel they were ours. Not an art that we learned over the years to appreciate, but simply an immediately ours. See, Pauline Kael's like a lot smarter than me, and all I can say right now is she right. The will he or won't he game, an intellectualized version of the plight of Broadway virgins, goes on so long that the squeamish hero must be meant to be an ass. Like she convinced me, dude. Like I can't add to Pauline Kael. She's like good at stuff. She is interesting. Dude, I can't. I can't. She's like way smarter than me. What did she say about Jaws? In Jaws, which may be the most cheerfully perverse scare movie ever made, the disasters don't come on schedule the way they do in most disaster pictures, and your guts never settle down to a timetable. Even while you're convulsed with laughter, you're still apprehensive because the editing rhythms are very tricky and the shock images loom up huge right on top of you. There are parts of Jaws that suggest what Eisenstein might have done if he. It's like I'm talking to fucking Isabel. It's annoying. Where, okay. Like, where are the great critics like Pauline Kael? Is it just that, is it like several different reasons? You know, but I mean, I think I know where they are. I think it's not only that people aren't really interested in talking about film in that sort of way, but like the Pauline Kaels of today are not film critics. They're not devoting their time to talking about film. They're talking about things that are relevant to culture. Just like when Pauline Kael was talking about film, film was relevant to culture. It moved and shaped it. Interesting works to discuss and interesting themes to ponder. But now the Pauline Kaels of the world are talking about other things, other media, you know, making silly video essays on extremely serious topics for YouTube. Like that's probably where the Pauline Kaels of today are. And that's film's fault, ultimately. I'm curious about your takes on more bleak teen movies like Mean Creek, Welcome to the Dollhouse, or Elephant. I don't like them. I don't like bleak teen movies. Um, for the same reason I don't like Requiem for a Dream as a film about drug use. uh, because I think it's inauthentic. Except for like Harmony Korine, they feel like after school specials, right? Elephant to me does not engage with what actually provokes or inspires the behavior that takes place within the film. It doesn't. I don't. It doesn't say anything interesting to me at all. And it's also too obsessed with its own composition to be truly like emotionally upsetting. Gus Van Sant, sometimes he's so self-involved that I can't even associate with any of the images that he's showing, especially the character. I don't think Elephant engages at all with mass murder. Not really. Not in a way that provides any sort of insight that's valuable. But I've been asked a few times to cover Degrassi, and like, no, there's no philosophy to Degrassi, though. There's no psychology to it. Just each episode, a kid's gay, a girl's on drugs, there's an eating disorder, a kid drinks for the first time, virginity is lost. It's just the issues, that's all they are. I totally agree. Compared to your other takes on teen media, Degrassi doesn't have the depth. It really doesn't. Yeah, problem of the week television. There's no philosophy behind it. There's none. Um, it's just trash. Uh, and I don't mean that in too much of a negative way. Like I love trashy TV. I just can't. I just can't analyze it. There's just nothing there to analyze. Maybe like really far down the road, I'll just make one single video about Degrassi, like overall as an entire IP, but I will never go season by season. Doctor Strangelove zest here, though. I really like Doctor Strangelove. Who doesn't like Doctor Strangelove a lot? It's really good. And like what? Right after Strangelove, that's when Kubrick really became the Kubrick that we know. There's like pre 2001 and post 2001, and that's one of his best movies. I like Doctor Strangelove. The most interesting thing about Doctor Strangelove for me is it shows um, how adaptation really can change and determine what form the art is going to take. And I believe Doctor Strangelove was based on a Cold War novel, like a serious thriller called Red Alert. And Kubrick, I don't think he had the intention of making a black comedy out of the book, but when he and his writing partner were creating the screenplay for it, were drafting it, they couldn't help but laugh at kind of the dark absurdity of the apocalypse itself. And Doctor Strangelove came out of it.